Hey everybody, I'm about to miss a couple more weeks of videos here due to some circumstances of some time I got to spend outside of town and the holiday coming up. I'm going to miss a couple more weeks of videos, but in the meantime, I'm going to give you a book review of this book right here, Terrorist, Gavrilo Princip, the Assassin Who Ignited World War I by Henrik Rehr, R-E-H-R. I might be pronouncing that wrong, I apologize if I am. Henrik Rehr or Rehr. The gentleman's Danish, I'm not sure. I read it last time. But this book was recommended to me by James, the founder of Manic Expression. He told me it's a very interesting read. It's actually a graphic novel, of all things. Very interesting on a historical event. Now, the historical event in question here is the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austria-Hungarian throne by Gavrilo Princip. Now, okay, so why did Gavrilo Princip assassinate Archduke Franz Ferdinand? Let me go into that history real quick. So Archduke Franz Ferdinand, he's the Austrian-Hungarian heir. He comes down to Sarajevo, which is controlled by Austria-Hungary. However, Serbia has just become an independent nation just across the border as Turkey, the Ottoman Empire, and what we now know as Turkey, had been fading away from Europe. They controlled much of this area. A lot of independent nations emerged. One of them is Serbia. And there are a lot of Serbians in Sarajevo, and it's not part of their nation. And so the Serbians there badly want to be part of Serbia. In fact, they want this whole Slavism things. There's a number of different Slavic ethnicities in the area, and we found out after the Cold War ended, it pretty easily broke up. But that was the area, and so these Serbs badly want to be part of Serbia. They want to be part of this big Slavic nation. They don't want to be part of Austria-Hungary, which is German and Hungarian. Hungarians are not Slavic, for those who aren't aware. They're not Germans either. They're completely different ethnicity. But that's what they want. So this group of terrorists, that's the name of the book, goes to assassinate the Archduke, hoping that will give Serbia an opportunity to sort of sweep in and take Sarajevo. And it's sort of some backwards thinking. There's really, in fact, Serbia ends up kind of getting crushed because this precipitates World War I. Gavrilo Princip shoots Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Austria-Hungary blames Serbia. They declare war on Serbia. Serbia is backed up by their ally Russia. Russia declares war on Austria-Hungary. But Germany is allied with Austria-Hungary, so they declare war on Serbia and Russia. And since France is allied with Russia, they also declare war on France. Okay, as the Germans go to march into France, they go through Belgium. Belgium is allied with Great Britain. Great Britain now declares war on Germany and Austria-Hungary, because why not? And more nations slowly get dragged into World War I. Italy gets dragged in. Eventually the United States gets dragged in. Slowly but surely, pretty much all of Europe, with the exceptions of like Switzerland and Spain, are dragged into World War I. And it's all because, Gavrilo Princip shoots and kills Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914. Now, what do I think of this book? Let me just go into this book real quickly. And I liked this book. This was an interesting read. Now, it's very presumptive, right? It assumes a lot of things about history because, and truth be told, historians don't know a lot about Gavrilo Princip. We know he was a Serbian nationalist. He dabbled in anarchy. He dabbled in communism. Probably more so in the anarchy side of things, politically speaking. Anarchy is it's a very different movement than it is today in the early 20th century. That would take a whole long philosophical discussion of what anarchy means that I'm not going to go into. You have to look it up for yourself. And so, but if you know that history going into this book, this book's kind of a nice dramatization. This sounds like a movie in a way, like a movie dramatization of a historical event. That's what it felt like to me reading this, and it was quite good. And Franz Ferdinand's also in the book, and they give him, and most history I've read, he's sort of a little naive. He's high and he's aristocratic. He's very separated from the people, and he doesn't realize some of the people hate him. He thinks they all love him, and he thinks because he's actually got a more magnanimous. He struck a more magnanimous note to Bosnia and Herzegovina. He wants to give them more autonomy, and he thinks, oh, I'm going to go down there, and they're going to thank me for coming because I want to give them more autonomy, so they're going to really like me. Clearly, they didn't. He was wrong about that. And he's going down the Apple Quay. They chuck a bomb at him. It actually misses. Some stories, and they perpetuate this one, and here's it bounced off his wife Sophie's umbrella and onto the car behind him and blew up. It was kind of confusing. Some said it was they had one of those pull-up roofs, convertible roofs, and some say it hit off that and hit the car behind him and blew up. Regardless, it didn't hit Franz Ferdinand and his wife. It blew up the car behind him. Nobody was killed, actually. Several severely injured, but nobody killed right away. Archduke, goes up to where he's supposed to have this big welcome thing at the town hall. Of course, he's furious. Thinks this is all a joke. Besides, he wants to go to the hospital and see the people. Well, there's a mistake because they go to the hospital, make a wrong turn, so they stop right in the middle of the street, right in front of Gavrilo Princip. Bang, bang. World War I. And this dramatizes that all really in a really interesting way and gives Princip a lot of personality, personality that he historically doesn't have. We just don't know these things, and so this is really interesting to read. And sort of, he says in the author Henrik Rehr, I wish I could pronounce that right, Rehr, I assume, gives us this idea that he wanted to examine how people become terrorists, and that was why he wrote the book. And in the wake of 9/11, which he kind of knew a lot about, he was actually living in New York City when that happened. And so this is sort of his coming to terms with how terrorists become terrorists. And he does have sympathy for both Princip and Franz Ferdinand, and that's kind of an interesting take from the book. So overall, if you see this at your local library, or see it for cheap at a comic book store, or just a bookstore or whatever, I would definitely recommend picking this up. If you don't know your World War I nationalist history, it's a little difficult to know how Europe was breaking down these nationalistic boundaries before the war, but I knew all that, so I felt pretty comfortable with the material in here. Maybe if you don't know some of that, you have to read some history to go along with it. Here we go. I've got Stray Cat. This is the first volume of his World War I book, and that's almost all about the nationalistic aspect of it. I don't recommend reading this. There's easier books to read. I think I have right next to it his shorter book. It's somewhere. I can't remember. Stray Cat actually wrote a much shorter history of World War I that maybe I would recommend reading over the very long volume I have right behind me. But anyway, that's the book. Thanks to James from Manic Expression for recommending it to me. It was a very good read, and I hope that gives you a little historical perspective.